So, everybody, I have to be honest with you, I'm not the nearest Targaryen. I don't have a realm to rule. My name is Anna. I'm a local guide here. I don't even have the dragons. I have 2 cats and a boyfriend at home. Enough for now. We are just about to start our walking tour. I tend to talk a lot. If you find me boring, just give me a hint and I will understand. I will try to incorporate or interpole, if you wish, a bit of the real history in our walking tour. We are having a matching stories of the real history of Dubrovnik and the Game of Thrones. So I will do my best to make this as interesting as possible. So please follow me this way. Okay.
Evo, mi smo gotovi i idemo prema žičari. U starom gradu. Dobro. Nije dobro. Dobro, ajde.
So if you don't mind, and I hope you don't, I don't know what I will do if you do. I would like to share just a few words about this location where we are standing right now. This is the place where they have been filming a Game of Thrones. But let's do amazing stories. So I have to tell you that in a history, while Dubrovnik was free trading independent city-states, Dubrovnik, the city of Dubrovnik, had a lot of confraternities. That is something very similar to guild or association. You can come a bit closer if you want. I won't bite, I promise. I ate. So those one of the confraternities was a confraternity of the stonemasons, and one still has a workshop here, but they had the workshops in the ground floor of this building. These steps here would take you to the main entrance of the Dominican church. That church was built in the 14th century, so it is a Gothic church. And in the 16th century, one of the stonemasons realized that on Sundays there is a bunch of boys standing on this little square, also on a Game of Thrones tour. We will have to fight them, you know. Just anyhow. So one of the stonemasons realized in the 16th century that every Sunday there is a bunch of young boys on this little square, and of course our stonemason was wondering why, and very soon he had learned why. Because the girls were taking these steps to enter the Dominican church to attend the Holy Mass. They had beautiful long skirts, and what do you do with your long skirt when you are climbing the steps? You lift it. And the boys were trying to see piece of bare skin, God forbid, their ankles. So our stonemason decided to fill the space between the columns even with more stone. So even today we are calling this a stairway of morality. And a stairway of morality was chosen for filming a middle sequence of the Walk of Shame. So this was filmed, if this should be recognizable. So that's what that was filmed here. And you can see the Cersei walking naked up the street with a lot of, all the extras were locals standing here on these steps. I always wanted to be an extra. There you go, third row. But unfortunately, I really don't have long hair, and I dye my hair, and they always wanted girls with long and natural hair, not dyed hair. So I could never participate in filming of the show, but a friend of mine did. That's the girl here with very cool hair. She has the longest hair in Dubrovnik, probably. And she told me that when they were filming, the extras were not allowed to refer or to talk
To the actors.
Well, they were not allowed to comment. That was a friend of mine here. The appearance of the actress that was walking shamefully up the street, and one of the actors, one of the boys standing up, complimented her behind. And he was asked to leave a setting. He was not allowed to be present on a setting anymore. And then we were discussing how come it is moral to yell whore, bitch, and shame, and it is not polite to compliment somebody's behind. Let me go. It was up.
Yeah.
This street was a market street, and here you can recognize Bronn entering a market street on a King's Landing. So this should be recognizable. The arch, the second arch, the ankle here, under the arch. Can you see it all?
Yes. Yes.
If you need me to get closer, oh, we're having a butterfly. In the lap of the dragons, here it is. Local sound. Okay, let's keep walking this way. Ta-da! Another stop. So this This is where they filmed a last sequence of the Walk of Shame. This also should be recognizable. This is an eastern entrance to the city, Plocha Gate, behind my back, and a fourth Revelin here in a So she was walking into the city, and you can also see no wires or lights on the fort. No, they didn't in a post-production, of course. Did you see it? There it is. And these extras were also locals. Where are the shadows? You can't see them, right? This was filmed in August, so you can guess that it was new. And today is just really not hot. In August, it gets much warmer. There you go, guys. We will have to make some just make some space here for the guy to pass.
It was a mission.
What's that?
It was on a mission.
Oh, who? Oh, that guy, yeah.
One average episode is approximately 6 money extras earned per day. Less than 50 euros per day. So, but these are true fans, not me. They told me that it wasn't about the money, they just wanted to be part of the story, of history if you wish. So, now don't you just that's the entrance to the city. You can recognize the lower part of the pre-wall here around it. You can recognize the high vertical wall. You can't see the statue of Saint Blaise, our patron saint, because it's hidden by a wooden plate. So this is not CGI or airbrush. They really literally, they were using CGI, but only when necessary. Whatever could be really filmed, it really was filmed. So the patron saint of Dubrovnik, St. Blaise, has nothing to do with the story, and that's why they covered the statue with a wooden plate. Did you all see it? Okay. What else can you see? A red keep. We are not having it. So they have been moving to see that we will be seeing red keeps all over the city. It was just one red keep, but as we are not having it here, this thing, that's a castle. We don't have. Okay, guys, so if you saw it, back to the city. Karaka is living. This is very transition. Where is it?
I'm too. Yeah.
Sorry for scaring you. Okay, now turn around. This is what I wanted to show you. So remember our market street in a second season? Well, this is the second scene. It was just drawn here at the entrance to the city. But here you can recognize Syrian and Ron. And you should be able to see the Church of the Annunciation, the Chapel of St. Luke with the bay leaves on it, and you can't see the entrance to the city walls because they are hidden by this umbrella light thing. Let's just make some space, please, for other people. How much? That depends on how much scenes they need to film on a very same location. Sometimes just a few hours, sometimes a few days. But the people, the HBO... What's wrong? Do they need any help? What I wanted to say is that Croatians are by default pretty much laid-back people, and we always have time for another coffee and another time for another glass of wine. But when they came here, they were so tight on schedule that we almost couldn't believe that such thing is possible. So they would say that they are filming from 7 a.m. till 5 p.m. They really would film from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. But the setting or the street or the parts of the city were not entirely closed, only when they were really filming. But when they were rehearsing or redressing or resting, then the setting was open and we were all allowed to walk through a setting. And for our city guides, because we are not doing just the Game of Thrones tours but the regular history sightseeing tours, that was very, very important to have a schedule with precise timing. When can we walk through a certain part of the city? People in the back, I know that you have much. So we are now standing at the side entrance to the Dominican Church, a building that was built in the 14th century. And this scene, still the Market Street scene, was filmed here. Still second season. So we still didn't have sparrows, if you remember, in the second season, but we had this reverend, sort of, or a preacher standing, guys in the last row, on these semi-rounded steps in front of the entrance to the Dominican Church. So before the sparrows, he was here. And when he saw Tyrion approaching, he called him an imp and a little monkey. And that was quite insulting by itself. But this guy here also mentioned a proper reason why all Lannisters are having blonde hair, if you remember. So that was the first time Tyrion heard about incest in a family. And you would say, well, this wasn't very important scene, but in my humble opinion, of course, it was because this triggered pretty much every event that happened later in a show, in a series. So what you can recognize here is this rounded part of the church. You can recognize here in a corner of the picture even the part of the stairway of morality. You can recognize the windows with the bars. They of course deleted the windows with the shades because they were not necessary here, but you cannot see a floral Gothic entrance to the church because it wasn't matching the visuals of the Market Street or the King's Landing. Did you all be able to recognize? Okay. This will be it. This. So some of you, I guess, already walked over the city walls. But this is what Shay saw when she came to King's Landing. It looks like the city of Dubrovnik, and some parts of the city really are Dubrovnik, but some parts were added, some even mixed. So the first line, the first thing that Shay said when she came to King's Landing was trust no one in King's Landing. Now all Dubrovnikans, the citizens of the historical city-state of Ragusa had very similar thing to say. In proper Croatian it sounds like this. Sa svakim lijepo, sa nikim iskreno, which means be nice to everybody but honest to nobody. So she was saying something very similar, but there are still some things that you can recognize here. This is the Church of St. Blaise behind my back. This one. The other dome here is the dome of the cathedral over there. And this is the tower bell behind your back. So this is the tower bell. This is the Church of St. Blaise, one behind my back. And this dome here is dome of the cathedral over there. Were you able to see what I was showing? If you need me to come closer, just wave or give me a sign, I'll do it. So this is the cathedral. That's the dome over there. This is the Church of St. Blaise, one behind my back. And this is the tower bell over there. This one.
Some blue.
Huh? That's the Church of St. Blaise. They colored the domes.
Yeah.
Can you recognize it? You can. It's easy. And this is the cathedral. I don't know if you can see it. It's behind the corner. And that's the tower bell right here. You guys.
Sophia, my
Now, if you're ready to go, let's get moving. The building behind my back, sorry if I'm yelling, but I really want you to hear what I'm saying. So the building behind my back is a rector's palace. Rector was a head of the republic and was chosen for a seat of 1 month only. You can't do much good in 1 month, right? But you can't do much damage either. So the effective power was in the hand of the Senate, of the Senate, Great Council, and Small Council. So those were 3 governing bodies that ruled Dubrovnik. This equals Buckingham House, or Buckingham Palace, or White House. It is a very nice city museum. Unfortunately, it's closed right now, but in the atrium of the museum, they filmed this. And this is part of the city of Kars, when Khaleesi came to the city of Kars. This man soon will propose to her, if you remember, and she will wisely say. So this was filmed. If you tomorrow, you will still be in Dubrovnik. You don't have to pay the ticket and enter it in a museum. You can just peek through the doors, and if you do so, you will see those pillars here. You will see the stair. You will see everything but the jars. You will even see this statue. And you saw how they hid the statue of our patron saint because it wasn't matching the story. but this one did. So that's why on purpose they left it. They left it, even in this frame, in a scene. This statue here, this guy here is Miho Kratsa. He wasn't even a nobleman, though the noble people governed the republic. They left the statue here. Dubrovnik, the city state of Dubrovnik, the old historical city of Ragusa, approved slavery in 1416, so very beginning of the 15th century. He was a sailor, and while he was rich, because he was in a merchant business, he was selling things. And while he was sailing the seas, very often people would visit slave markets just to buy people and set them free. So that's why here to have his statue erected in something that equals a Buckingham Palace or a White House. So that's a magic story. Why? Because he was our Daenerys. As soon as she leaves Karth, she will gather an army, and that army will be made of free slaves, unsullied, right? So that's why the production though decided to leave the statue of Miho Kratsa while they were filming. Let's go this way now. Now we have to go back to second season again, and perhaps you remember that in a second season there was a rebellion in the King's Landing, and Sansa had to run for her life because some men were trying to rape her, and Hound saved her, if you remember. So she was running. If I tell you through this little street, that would be a lie. This looks very similar, but it wasn't filmed here, but around the corner. Around the corner is actually a darkish little place, so I'm not quite sure if you will be able to see this. That's why I'm showing you here. In a split of a second, she appeared in actually a distant part of the city. It will take us 15 to 20 minutes to get to that part of the city, but with the films, with the film magic, everything is possible. Now, what I would like to share with you is this pipe here. This is something they for some reason decided to leave. This pipe here. I know it's not the best resolution possible, but this is something that you will be still able to see around the corner. I'll show you. So that was filmed here. Here we go. where she was running. You won't be able to see much here. You can't see the air condition in this frame, but you can see. Come a bit closer. We have these stairs also. We can spread. But my question now is, do you recognize this location? You do? You are allowed to yell shame if you wish. People do that here. So this is where Cersei started her walk of shame, right here. And this also, well, you know, if you would count all the stones peeking from the house, if you would count all the windows from the house opposite where we are standing, or this house on a side, everything is here. Nothing is CGA here, but the hill. So that's the red key. Now they must be here. Closed. So these people had to be paid for closing their shops. At least a day. At least a day. The original idea was to start from the cathedral, but our bishop said, "Oh, blasphemy! Naked woman in front of the cathedral." So they gave up on the cathedral and they started here, which in my humble opinion, again, is much, much better choice because of these dramatic steps she has to walk down. In front of the cathedral you have 5 or 6 steps, and this is actually much, much better. So, for the people owning their restaurants or cafes or whatever here, but you can see that all the shades, all the shutters are closed, and people really, really do live here. So the production sent not a bodyguard, but what would be a security team to each and every apartment here, because they said no peeping toms in this city and nobody was allowed. Usually people do peek, but they said no peeking when they were filming the Walk of Shame, the very beginning. And I was wondering, what's the big deal? We will see her naked in a few months. And then I have learned Cersei wasn't filming the Walk of Shame at all. She was pregnant. She was 4 months pregnant and she didn't want anybody to see the belly, and you could already see the belly. Now, you knew that she was pregnant, right? Do you know who with? Bronn. They fell in love on a setting and now they are having a baby. So that's a happy story. Let's go. Can you believe that nobody actually died for real?
That's actually the best story.
No. They had a body double. You were thinking that you saw Cersei. No, sir.
The last season is all in Ireland, because winter is coming. So
Winter,
it was too
winter.
bright to film here. That's why it's coming in July.
But you, in a sixth season, no, they were filming few scenes in a sixth season, but most of the landscapes, or do you remember a scene when Tommen ended his life by throwing himself through a window, and you saw the King's Landing through a window? But while they've been filming second, third, fourth, fifth, and parts of the sixth season, but in a second, while filming second, third, fourth, and fifth, they actually got enough material to use in a sixth. To use again in a sixth season, and seventh season wasn't filmed here. Not one single scene. as much as we know.
With Star Wars.
But Star Wars and Robin Hood.
Yes.
Robin Hood origin, that was produced by Leonardo DiCaprio. So we are probably going to have a Robin Hood tour, stealing money from the rich and giving to poor. Would be lovely. So let's talk about brothels. As Dubrovnik was a maritime republic, we had a lot of sailors, and those men wanted to entertain themselves, right? So prostitution wasn't legal here, but it wasn't illegal either. The government sort of turned the blind eye because they needed this, because it was a Machiavellian republic. So they were always trying to find a win-win situation for everything and for everybody. They say that in Dubrovnik, near almost every church or a chapel, there was a bar. And every bar had a girls working there, so you can imagine, and we even today have more than 30 chapels and churches in the old city of Dubrovnik, so there was a lot of entertainment. But the government decided they had a state physician, and his job was to visit those brothels once a week to check if the girls are healthy. And we know that in a history, one physician for some reason skipped his weekly visit to the brothels. He got fired and he couldn't get any recommendations because he put many men and women in danger for skipping what he had to do. This scene is filmed after Tyrion was waiting for two of my favorite characters in one place. Yay! One of them still alive. Yay! Tyrion was waiting for Red Viper at the outskirts of the King's Landing, if you remember. And he was waiting and waiting and waiting, and he couldn't wait enough. So he decided to look for him. Do you remember where he found him?
Yes.
Where? In a brothel. So this
No
was filmed
fingers.
here. That's the yard behind my back. They're leaving the brothel. And I'm now going to show you where the brothel actually was. Oh gosh, you guys didn't see anything, but you saw stray cats. We are having a lot of stray cats here. They are well fed and lazy. There you go. That's the yard.
Yes. Yeah.
But as we are going that way, I really it might be easier like this. So Cersei's Walk of Shame definitely wasn't the only Walk of Shame that was filmed here in Dubrovnik, but it's the famous one because of the funny parts, I guess. I really have no idea why nobody ever mentioned this man, a nobleman. Can you recognize it? Well, this house building today is ethnographic museum. Long ago it was a state granary, but the production decided to use it to film the brothel. So maybe you will remember the scene when the sparrows entered into the Littlefingers brothel and all the girls just ran away screaming, and the men, especially noblemen, were ashamed.
No, I can see.
So this is one noble behind that you can see here, and that was filmed exactly here. There you go. And we have another thing to discuss here. The sea, the fort over there, the highest Whenever I'm with a group on a single, I always this, that chord was the house of Andar, the tower of Andar. When Khaleesi was trying to find her husband and the dragons were in prison, if you remember that first she was trying to find him and she found him dead. What a surprise! Yeah. That was filmed on a fort. So where the steep steps climbs up, you shouldn't follow the steep steps, but on the left side is the windowish thing here. That's the fort. And I do have a quiz question for you. How do you call a cow? Can you hear me? How do you call a cow riding a squid?
Calamari.
Yes! Let's go this way. Bravo. Watch your steps here, please. We're on the floor.
De Alpina.
Hello guys, hungry the best in town? In my life. In front of me, please. Usually everything we're seeing will be behind my back. So back to second season. We're here. Guys, this way. Sorry for yelling. So back to the second season. You remember the rebellion scene? When people were throwing poop at Lannisters, where our extras were so happy they had an opportunity to throw poop at somebody. It was a fake poop. But Joffrey, for the first time, realized that he's not almighty king and that people of the realm are not happy with the way the Lannisters are ruling King's Landing. They were quite an angry mob here. So for the first time, Joffrey asked a guard's protection. So he entered to the place we entered, and usually and to be quite honest, nothing. So while Sansa was running, he was
Fast forward.
trying to run from Hey! Got it? Yep. You guys?
Yep.
You did?
Yes.
Okay. When this was filmed, on Balkans you are never actually having a clear political situations about countries or politics or foreign policy or things like that. So when this was filmed, we actually didn't have a government because government at the time resigned and we were waiting for the elections for a new government. And people were really, really frustrated. And when the people on the setting who are in charge for the extras asked them to make as much noise as possible, they really did their best. And they were shouting and yelling all awful and disgusting things, and that had to be over something in post-production, over dubbed. Thank you very much. So that's why you won't be hearing angry Croatians swearing. Remember when Sansa was running from the rapists? And I told you that in a split of a second she will be in a distant part of the city? Well, she was running in. This is one quite big group, and this is one quite narrow passage, so I won't be making you walk this way. But if you look closely, actually behind your back, then you will be able to see these two pillars, the lamps. And you can even recognize the steps here that she was taking. So these are the pillars of the lamps. So if you remember, and I guess you do because we have mentioned several times that Dubrovnik was a free trading city-state since 1358 till 1808. That means that there was a moat all around the city. The park that will be on both sides of this moat bridge, long time ago was a moat. That means that the moat bridge was lifted every evening and lowered every morning. And these gates were closed in 1808 for the last time. But they closed the gates to film these scenes. So Jamie already lost his arm, his fist, but he's coming back to the King's Landing accompanied by Brianna. Now she was a feisty lady, one of my favorite characters. You should be able to recognize the arch over there, and you have to trust me that these gates really are these gates. There you go. Now the part of the city that is on the other side of the gates is called Pile. It's spelled like pile, P-I-L-E. It has nothing to do with the pile. It's from Old Greek pilos, which means gate. So these are gate gates, the western entrance to the city. Though you will see that people do pile up because there's a shuttle bus stop on the other side of the gates. Now, the thing is that not even my great-great-grandfather saw these gates closed, and I did when they were filming this. And I was waiting for my cruise ship group over there where the shuttle bus stop is. And when they came, there was almost 50 of them, and I was so super excited because the gates are closed, and we had to walk all over the city to enter on eastern entrance. And I was like, yeah, the gates are closed, and they thought that I'm mental because I'm happy and they have to walk. So that's Jamie was this, that's Brianna in the arch. Did you guys go? Now follow me.
No passports. Black water there.
I know, but I won't. Now, please, people, welcome to the
Blackwater
Bay. This, by the way, is my favorite part of the city, especially in the winter. It is the sea in the winter is very gray, and so is the sky, and it is all very, very dramatic here. But a lot of dramatic things happened here. So, if while we were still on the boat, perhaps you would remember that I was mentioning this semi-rounded fort.
Yeah.
With the flag with our patron saint. That's the fort. That's the fort on which Lord Varys and Tyrion were discussing the economical situation and the political situation of a King's Landing right before the battle for the Blackwater. The semi-rounded fort. A red girl, somebody in a red shirt is standing right next to the steps. So the thing is that here it is. Joffrey, Sansa, Tommen, Hound, and Cersei. Yes. Good eye. Now the thing is that Cersei was very, very sad because this is the place where she had to let her Myrcella go away, and that's why she was so sad, and that's why Tommen is crying, because his big sister is leaving the King's Landing. And we haven't talked about the 6th season so far, but here is something that was filmed in a 6th season when Myrcella was coming back, and she of course was dead. So Cersei was standing on that beach, and the mountain was right next to her, if you remember. And she was waiting for Myrcella, and Myrcella was coming back in a casket, though, but in this boat. Here is Cara. That's our thing. They also use in the 16. That's Cara. Now the thing is that these extras also were locals, but from the continental part of Croatia, and they really didn't know how to use the pedals properly. And if you would watch this scene again, you would see Cersei standing there like waiting for Myrcella and then rolling her eyes because they hit this rock again. 3 times, tang, tang, tang. So that's something that you can see in from that. Shae and Sansa. Now, Shae was a little bit sad, and Sansa was trying to cheer her up. So they were playing games, if you remember. They were trying to guess the names of the ships that were passing, what's the cargo, and where the ships are going. And I remember when I was watching this scene, I thought that Shae is the fairiest girl of them all in a King's Landing, and Sansa is such a lucky girl to have such a true and honest friend. And then I was quite surprised. But that's the beauty of Martin's novels. Nothing is black and white, just like in a real life. None of us is really good or really evil. So that's the thing with the Jamie. I hated his guts. I hated the man. But then I became very fond of him. Baratheon died in a so-called accident in a hunting. And Joffrey was a legit heir to the throne, but he knew that there will be a lot of other bastards that will claim their right to the throne. So he arranged something that was called, the entire episode was called the killing of the slaughter of the innocent. And that was filmed right here. They do not look that innocent, but that's exactly where this was filmed, the slaughter of the innocent. But you can recognize 3 doors there, but we are having a look. So the third, these doors are CGI. They were really cool. We never. So these are the doors. Okay. Slaughter of the innocents. That's it. But these and these are quite recognizable. These doors were added.
Yeah.
These two are quite the same as those. And this is technically the end of our tour, of our walking tour. We can't visit the fort. I don't know if some of you probably already climbed the fort of St. Lawrence. If you haven't, then I would also kindly recommend to do so. You don't have to buy the tickets for walking all over the city on the city walls. You can buy a much cheaper ticket just to visit the fort of St. Lawrence. The guy who sells the ticket has his little box here, vertical at this scene. And this, by the way, there you go, is one of my favorite scenes. The name of this episode is Knowledge is Power, because a Littlefinger tried to threaten Cersei by telling her knowledge is power. And do you remember what she replied? Yeah, right, power is power. So, power is power. And that's Joffrey's name day. That was filmed on the top of the fort. These rounded windows are empty. The rosettas actually are empty, so they added as a decoration these. And we are not having the red keep, and we are not having these towers, but we are having a fort. And maybe, this is something this is one interesting story. I almost forgot about it. This is not a screenshot. This is an actual photo of a setting, and that's why you can see a medieval knight having medieval coffee here. And these mighty knights were just rehearsing a sword fight. That's the coffee, and they are rehearsing the sword fight for a scene that you will also see. And I remember when we were watching this episode, we noticed that this image was flipped. The city was on the wrong side of the fort. And as I'm very fond of romantic stories and legends, but my brother is a historian and he likes facts. So I asked him why they flipped the image, and he explained to me that these men here are right-handed sword fighters. But just like in a baseball, pitcher is much more dangerous when he's left-handed, because you are not expecting where the ball will come from. The same is with the left-handed swordsmen. They are always much more dangerous. They appear to us, to me, I'm a right-handed person, appear much more dangerous. And that was also one of Martin's tricks, because he wanted to play with our mind, and he was actually counting on it. Two left-handed men fight instead of two right-handed men fight with the swords. But they were actually rehearsing for this scene. So this is the drunk, not a proper knight, a drunk guy who was made to drink a lot of wine. This one. And for Sansa begged Joffrey for his life, and Joffrey spared his life. So this guy will appear again in the end of the 5th season. on a purple wedding, he will give Sansa a necklace with a blue gems, if you remember. It's one of the gems he's been missing, and then Sansa will run. Somebody else. I also hope that you learned something new. Thank you. But we are again having a little bonus. So whoever wants to sit on the Iron Throne and claim their right to the realm, you can follow me to the place where the throne is. So I'm going that way, and if you really want to visit the throne, just keep following me, and I'll get you. How far is it? It's in the old city, so everything is, I don't know, 7 minutes walking distance, I'd say. Depending on how